I believe that recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital city and relocating our embassy there on incontestably Israeli sovereign territory would be sensible, prudent, and efficient for the United States government. Indeed, fully regularizing the American diplomatic presence in Israel will benefit both countries, which is why worldwide the U.S. Embassy in virtually every other country we recognize is the host country's capital city. Relocating the embassy would not adversely affect negotiations over Jerusalem's final status or the broader Middle East peace process, nor would it impair our diplomatic relations among predominantly Arab or Muslim nations. In fact, by its honest recognition of reality, shifting the embassy would have an overall positive impact for U.S. diplomatic efforts. Over the years, as with so many other aspects of Middle Eastern geopolitics, a near theological and totally arid scholasticism has developed here and abroad about the impact of moving the embassy. Now is, in fact, the ideal time to sweep this detritus aside and initiate the long overdue transfer. It stands to reason that America's diplomats posted abroad should be located near the seat of government to which they are accredited. Proximity to host government political leaders, major government institutions, and representatives of domestic, political, economic, and social interests all argue for the common sense decision that U.S. representatives to a foreign state should be at that state's center of government. There may be logistical reasons for temporary deviations from this principle, but there is no compelling diplomatic business reason to wait nearly 70 years, as has been the case in Israel. Given Israel's geography, certain key national security institutions, such as the Ministry of Defense, are located in Tel Aviv, which means that legitimate considerations will dictate that a U.S. embassy annex should remain there. But cost, efficiency, and effectiveness considerations also compel the conclusion that the bulk of our embassy's personnel should follow the example of their colleagues in virtually the entire rest of the world and be moved to Israel's capital. Modern transportation and telecommunications capabilities notwithstanding, distance still imposes costs, both in time and resources, not to mention aggravation, on our diplomats in Israel. Moreover, there is still no substitute to personal contact, face-to-face communication, and easy accessibility, especially in times of crisis, with key host government officials and political leaders. Moreover, security concerns, especially in the volatile Middle East, are always major factors in decisions to move existing diplomatic facilities to new locations within existing capitals where physical conditions are better suited to address contemporary risks assessments. So while I think the overwhelming diplomatic and managerial advantages to the United States argue for relocation, there are obviously a number of political arguments to the contrary. I think there are three, basically. And I think it's important to take these arguments seriously because many are made in good faith. But let's be honest. Many are argued for precisely the opposite reason, to continue to deny to Israel the acknowledgement that it is a legitimate state with a legitimate capital. The three arguments basically are that moving the embassy, even to West Jerusalem, would somehow affect final status negotiations about that city. I think this stems from UN General Assembly Resolution 181, which contemplated an international status for Jerusalem. That resolution was rejected by the Arab states shortly after it was passed. And let's face it, 181 is a complete dead letter today. Jerusalem will never be an international city, and we need to move on from it, as indeed the Russian Federation acknowledged earlier this year. The second argument is that it will break the broader Middle East peace process. And I have to say, if the peace process is such a delicate snowflake that moving our embassy would destroy it, you have to ask what its viability is to begin with. And it's also to mistake pretext for cause. If somebody wants to demonstrate against the United States or Israel, can pick a lot of other pretexts as well, not just moving the embassy. And finally, to conclude, Mr. Chairman, we hear over and over again that we want to move the embassy, but the time is just not right. As they say in the Near East Bureau of the State Department, they only have to press one key on their computers to spit out the phrase, "at this particularly delicate point in the Middle East peace process." In diplomatic circles, Mr. Chairman, not now too often means not ever. We should reject that counsel and move the American embassy to Israel's capital city. Thank you.